It is 2 teams, 2 games, 1 playoff spot. So what more do you want in the final week of the NLL regular season? Thanks so much, Richard. Look, we love a Go Birds reference, obviously. But yes, those 3 teams not short on confidence coming into tonight. Every training camp has a message. And for Brandon Staley, he started thinking about that message back in January after the Chargers lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars in the playoffs. He told his team, look, in order to go forward, we have to go backward. We have to face and confront what happened in order to move on. As you guys mentioned it, both of these teams are playing 2 games in a span of 3 days. And how are they feeling? Well, that depends on the generational gap of these players. Curtis Dixon of Vancouver, he was born in 1988, and he told me pushing 40, this stretch is a little tough. Whereas Dylan Watson of the Seals, he was born in the year 2000 and was much more eager for today's game, saying he's never experienced something like this in the NLL. I also talked about him and his team having to kind of work for goals, and he said San Diego makes everybody work for goals. Your coach told me at halftime San Diego obviously makes you work for goals. What was the key to the finding production in this 4th quarter? Pechanga Arena is usually known as the Electric Factory, but as of late, these San Diego Seals have been unplugged. They have yet to win a game at home. And in speaking to many players this week, they told me it has been really hard to pinpoint what exactly has been so challenging about winning at home. However, the good news, they're on a 2-game road win streak. Patrick Merrill said this team has been playing with a desperation and a hunger that he hopes shows up tonight and also next week, because with 2 back-to-back home games, they hope to give the fans something to light up about. Here's the thing, guys. This is the PCL. We are pro cheerleaders. These guys have day jobs. Kobe is a phlebotomist. And I'll say besides blood, he's got ice in his veins. But Kobe, I gotta ask you, what is harder, your day job or being in the PCL? There's been so much physicality in this first half. How has that played into your game plan to make Buffalo just so uncomfortable? Welcome back to Pechanga Arena, where in speaking to many Bandits players this week, they were telling me a lot of their turnaround as of late has been attributed to a 10 goals of the game list that they have put up every game leading into each opponent. Now, and speaking to John Tavares, he told me this doesn't change based on the opponent, and it's not necessarily scoring goals, it's objectives. 20 goals for this team today, a franchise record. You had 3 of them. So much was said about trusting the process to help you guys get to this win. How did you guys do that today?
Careful down there, Hayley. And knows where he ends up playing a little bit of peacemaker. Hayley, what do you got down there? Anything you can report that's family friendly?
Yeah. I'm not sure how much I can say, actually, that is family friendly. Wasn't expecting that, guys, though. But I can tell you I have the best seat in the house down here, that is for sure. Here's the deal. I don't know if they're trying to keep the broadcaster awake down here, but I have hit the smelling salts a couple of times via the transitive property, via airborneness, if you will. It has been so intense, and I have got to say, I don't know how anyone does it, because being the fact that I'm just catching a whiff of it, if you will, it has been quite strong down here in the box. I have texted so many of these coaches. They are probably so sick of seeing my number. So we are good. We're good in the last one here. But look, I wanted to know about their strategy going into this final match, and it came down to 2 different things: consistency and changes. So much has been made of this pair, this Kellen Moore-Justin Herbert pair, and them growing together now. But what you might not know is that they actually starred in a couple auto commercials, Kendall Auto, back a year ago. I asked Justin, how would you rate Kellen Moore's acting skills? And he called him a natural. And as we've been around Justin Herbert, we know he's pretty dry, and Kellen Moore echoed that. He's got this dry, awesome sense of humor. Marquez, welcome to the league. First career goal. We saw you streaking across the floor. What were the emotions like on that one for you?
Gosh, so exciting. I looked straight to the crowd. My family's all up there. And Section 11, I was just super pumped, super pumped.
How special is it to do this for your hometown team here in your hometown of San Diego? You mentioned in that package about being one of the little people who made it. You said it was your dream to play a sport professionally. What is it meant to be part of the PCL and get to achieve that dream? That challenge, basically putting the onus back on this team, really having them empower themselves. And the goal for tonight, he said, get a win. He goes, there are not many moral victories in this league. Tucker, when you and I spoke this week, you said this team got a little emotional at the final practice, but you said save it for Friday. How did their tightness and camaraderie just get them through to get this win? The Seals return home tonight looking to get back to 500. Patrick Merrill told us tonight that this team has just been playing tentative, but it's not who they are. And speaking to Cam Holding this week, he told me tonight's game against the Rush is going to be a really great test for this Seals group to see if they can rise to the occasion. He told me they believe they still think this Seals team is a top-tier team in this league, but tonight they're going to have to play with physicality, and if they do, Holding believes that they will get in a better mental state motivate, get back in the win column, and ultimately get some swagger back. When we spoke this week, you told me you were ready for anything after last week's game. Second win in as many starts. How does this one feel? You mentioned that Dunbar for Deacon trade at the top, and Patrick Merrill told us today when the Seals acquired Ben McIntosh and Rob Hellier, they felt a change of scenery would provide Jacob Dunbar the opportunities he couldn't get in San Diego. On the flip side, Merrill said Deacon was the type of player they were looking for and called it a good trade for both teams. When talking to Jacob Dunbar about today's game, kept it really cool, said he was preparing for this one like any other week, but he did say he hopes Ottawa gets the win just to make it a little sweeter. 9.9 for you, the insurance policy. You got the extra goal here at the end. How would you describe the last couple minutes of this one? He also said they weren't great with the finish and shot themselves in the foot defensively, but as for the second half, he said, we know Ottawa is a hard-working, talented team. This one's probably going to come down to the wire tonight. Welcome back to Pechanga Arena, where tonight is Stick Up for a Cure, presented by Rady's Children's Hospital. This is the San Diego Seals cancer awareness game. And look, we are used to athletes talking about playing for the names on the backs of their jerseys, but these Seals are also playing for the names on the bottoms of their jerseys. They include names of family members, friends, and fans, all affected by cancer. And as Danny Logan said on the local news this week, it certainly gives this team extra motivation in this game. Jacob Dunbar has had a hot start to the season after being traded to Ottawa from San Diego just a couple months ago. He currently leads the Black Bears in goals and has 9 in just 3 games, but his teammate Jeff Teat told me he believes that Dunbar has been the missing piece to this Ottawa offense. He said, we have just as much confidence in him as he has in himself, but it's the combination of Dunbar's athletic ability as well as his dynamic playmaking ability that makes him such a great fit for this group. Wes, you went back-to-back in the third. You got the go-ahead goal. How did it feel to get back in the win column tonight? Look, both of these teams have been trending in opposite directions as of late, but they do have one thing in common, and that is that they are both approaching this part of the regular season as if the playoffs have already started. Look, we've talked a lot about Dane Smith this whole game, and he's obviously a world-class lacrosse player, but he's also a former quarterback, a former hockey player, and he's told me he's taken a little bit from each sport to help his agility and vision out on this floor. He said he is so happy his parents put him in multi-sports as a kid because he was able to get used to moving his body different ways, and I think it's safe to say that's paid off for the 2-time MVP who's got a couple points tonight. 2 goals, 2 assists in this first half. What is making you so productive tonight? Ryan Lee, one of the most inspirational stories on the floor tonight. 4 surgeries in 2 years. He missed a lot of NLL action, including all of last season. He told me the last couple of years have been stressful and draining. He mentioned how Camo pulled him aside one time after practice and said he was going to be a coach in this league. We'll keep this family friendly, but Merrill said no chance. Camo told me Merrill was always a natural leader, including the time Merrill organized a meal train for the Camos when Ed's wife was sick. Guys, all these years later, though, they will always remember the Titans. Welcome back to Pechanga Arena, where tonight is Heroes Night as the San Diego Seals are paying homage to servicemen and women, first responders, and also law enforcement, and that includes one of their own, Keisha Lorenas. She is an assistant coach on the Sirens dance team and also an officer in the Coronado Police Department. Keisha has spent 9 years in law enforcement and told me she is so happy to be part of a team and city that honors community, resilience, and also supporting each other. So Keisha, thank you for all that you do for America's finest city.